Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Project Montero. We've had a pretty warm winter here in Utah. Now that the temperature has dropped to a brisk 28 degrees, we're gonna do the right thing and work on the Monteros today. We have 4 things that we need to get done to get the 97 ready to officially test. One, the tires are severely dry rotted. They have a lot of tread, but we're gonna swap out the 32s from the 98, put them on the 97, so that's ready to go. We need to spool up the winch line, replace the hood pins, and what was the last one?
Battery terminal.
Yeah, we need to replace the battery terminals because they're loose, they keep popping off. So the hood latch on the 97 is gone, so naturally, instead of replacing that, they installed these hood pins, but they're all rusted out and have seen better days, so we're gonna get those replaced. This is the tire that was giving me trouble and kept getting low. Have a lot of life, supposedly, on them, but then the closer I look, the more I realize that there are cracks running through the tread. Got a severe case of what doctors like to call dry rot. And then the last thing would be these terminal connectors kept popping off. We replaced the positive with this quick connect, and now I just need to do the negative, so let's get to it. Situation update. We're getting power to our winch right now, but it is not spooling, so we may have to do this test without the winch. All right, we're gonna call it quits on working on the winch right now. We're gonna do our preliminary test without it. So we're gonna move on to the negative battery terminal while Aaron does the tires. Say hi, Aaron. Now the hood pins are a pretty straightforward process. It's just these studs here that are held on by 2 nuts, and then they go through this hole here. Unfortunately, this hole is a little bit too small for the new studs, so we just have to drill that out a little bit. Let's get to it.
Why is it? It's like I might do anything. Yeah.
Usually when I'm All right, now that we know the hood is gonna stay shut and we have a reliable power source and we have great tires, I think we're ready to test this thing. But let's wash her up real quick. And you know, this thing doesn't look half bad when it's all wet and shiny. But we don't just want to look good on the trail, we want to smell good too. So we're gonna drop a black ice bomb in this thing and get it smelling nice. And finally, the moment you've all been waiting for, we're gonna hit the trail. This is the Skyline Drive Trail up in Bountiful, Utah. My co-pilot Aaron lives up here, so he suggested the trail and we're gonna hit it. Now we started off pretty slow. We hadn't engaged the transfer case on this very much, so just wanted to get all the fluids moving around and everything warmed up. and I definitely could not see that rock over my hood. But we barely missed it.
Not even close.
Hope there aren't any rocks at the top of this one.
There's a parking lot right now.
Now, before we get into the deep snow, we just wanted to test how these tires handled in the mud. And I can confidently say they did great. Now, this is the point where the snow got pretty deep on the shady side of the mountain, so we had to keep our momentum going up. And this is where we thought that we had finished our test and that we should turn around and head back down. But did we do that? Of course we didn't. We're Montero owners. And just like that, with hard work and perseverance, we made it to the summit with a 1997 Mitsubishi Montero Sport. Now, this would be a great place where we just flip around and head back down the mountain. Then, we realized, we could just cut across and head down the other trail that drops down into Farmington. We don't want to backtrack. We just want to continue testing the limits of this amazing machine. And well, you'll see in just a second why that was a bad decision. Now, it's very important that you listen to what my co-pilot has to say right here.
This is definitely where we would get stuck.
Now, a lot of you are going to be confused as to why we're stuck here, because we're seemingly stuck on flat ground in snow that's not very deep. And most of us know that the camera does not really do you justice in regard to slope and angles, so I'm going to paint a little picture for you about the situation that we're in. We are stuck at the bottom of a saddle. We had just come down a hill and we were turning to go up this hill over here, and the snow is pretty deep. We sunk clear down to the frame at this point, and you can see up here that we are clearly the largest and heaviest thing that has driven on this road with this much snow. And another thing we didn't realize is that the trail right here is sloped toward the edge of this cliff, which is a pretty sheer drop off. And every time we would dig out the snow from underneath the frame, we would just sink down to the frame again. Once we got all the snow out, we ultimately realized that underneath the snow was a sheet of ice, and every time we would move on it, it would just slide us closer and closer to the edge of that cliff. And this was the point where we were really regretting not getting that winch working, because it would have been easy to just winch off to a tree and pull ourselves out. But we tried high RPMs, low RPMs, nothing was working, and we were just slipping all over the place. So the more we struggled, the closer we slid to the edge of the cliff, and since we didn't have the winch working, we figured we should at least tie ourselves off using the winch line, so that worst comes to worst, we didn't go over the edge. And since we didn't have any shovels or really any of the proper tools, it just took a long time to displace all of this snow, and you would have gotten a lot of good footage of that, except the camera just decided to give up the ghost halfway through. So here's what you missed while the camera was in the snow. We got ourselves unstuck and restuck about 6 different times. A helicopter came overhead, was circling around for a while, asking if we needed help, but we shooed him away, confident that we could get out ourselves. Knowing that we couldn't get out ourselves, Aaron's dad, Matt, luckily brought us some shovels, so we were able to dig ourselves out much more quickly. Oh no. And once we finally dug ourselves out of the hole, we just started working our way back up the hill, forward and backwards, just a little bit at a time. And this way we were able to pack down the snow little by little until we got ourselves out.
All right, after a 2-hour little speed bump we ran into, we learned don't go that way. We're gonna go back that way. We found the limits. Big thank you to Aaron. Thank you, Matt. Thank you. All right, headed back down. Victory Rockstar, Victory Cookies. We got ourselves out.
We're unstuck.
Then after that, we just took a nice sunset drive back down the mountain. We were ultimately really happy with the way that it performed. On our way back down the mountain, we discussed different things that we want to do to it now. Seems like we need a little bit more ground clearance, so probably look into getting some larger tires. We definitely need to get that winch working. I think we'll also need to track down some differential lockers or some LSDs so we can be a true 4x4. Then just some shovels and other odds and ends that will help us get unstuck if we ever get stuck again. I think she'll be ready to do some crazy things. Once we got back down safely, we did a damage report. We ourselves were a little bruised and battered, but the Montero fared really well. We ripped off a mud flap, but from what we can tell, that was the only damage that we faced. And while we did feel a little sheepish getting stuck where we did, it was really validating just a few days later when we watched the Fab Rats channel and Paul Cox got stuck in a situation that was quite similar to ours in a rig that was much more capable than ours. So onward and upward, really excited to see what we can turn this Montero into. So until next time, this has been Project Montero, and thanks for watching.